And we are live. Hello, and thanks for tuning in. This is the SuperBoss Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Harrison Ngo, and I'm joined by Ian Eatwell.
Hello.
Just in time. And Luc Tran.
Hello.
It's the Spooky Podcast.
And that's it for today. I'm fucking terrified.
That's my bit.
That's
For-
for the rest of the podcast.
Oh no.
For the rest of the podcast.
I don't.
This is the spooky one.
That's a lot of commitment.
It's the rest of the podcast.
Oh no.
We've set precedent.
Gotta believe. You just gotta believe.
Like ghosts.
Just like ghosts.
Well, we talk about... What are we talking about? Let me just... Spiel. We talk about what's going on in their world, rich for movies, comics, and video games. That's how my day's going. If you're a new listener, we started by talking about what we've been up to lately, but if you actually just want to skip to the topic, I've heard this once, just click 30 minutes and most likely we'll hit it before we jump into the main topic, which today I'm gonna...
I heard that from my dad too.
Yeah,
He
dude!
was just like, why do you guys talk about stuff at the beginning? I just wanted to
man.
I was like, all right.
I tell people, I'm like, you expect me to like talk for an hour or something without like just
We gotta
doing
warm
it?
up.
You gotta warm up somehow. Warm up the vocal cords. I need it. You may not need it, but I need it. But yeah, skip like 30 minutes or so. You got it.
There you go.
But
there's your
the
time.
topic, I'm gonna gatekeep that from you. Don't worry about it.
God, we're so good at segues.
God,
man.
I'm so good. That's not even segueing into it, man. But yeah, you're right. King of segues.
You're right. That was more of like a titillating teaser.
It was really hard to write that on the tweet last week. And I couldn't. I just couldn't.
Yes.
I was like, I can't. You got this.
Uh,
Next time you claim it, you got it. I just couldn't do it. Oh, man.
glorious.
What's up, guys? What's up?
Dude, I feel like I'm going insane. I have one of these clothespins at my desk. Do you know what these
Yeah.
wooden old-fashioned clothespins?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, see, I don't even know if
No, I'm just kidding. No, it is. It is.
I don't know if these are still a thing, but I have one of these. And for the past hour, I've just been using it as pressure acupuncture on my face. I'll just
What?
clip it to my eyebrow and I'll just leave it there for a little bit and then I'll move it to somewhere on my temple and leave it there. I think I'm losing my mind.
No, you know what's really funny?
Hmm.
There was this thing on TikTok, and it was hilarious how you talk about that, because I saw it today, and it's like, these are the people that have been hurt, and they just show someone that puts that thing you have, the wooden clothespin on their finger, or having the paper clip wrapped around their tip of their finger, and it's the weirdest shit. I was like, all right, this is weird. I'm getting off TikTok. I'm done.
Wow, I don't know what to make of that.
I don't either. Why do you think I got off?
Smart move.
Look what you've been up to.
Moving.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This past weekend.
Miserable. Even with movers, miserable. Mainly because the movers did not have a great schedule.
Oh, that's
I know.
They basically showed up 3 hours early. We're like,
Yeah.
why are you here?
Which,
Whoa.
I mean,
Yeah,
some
I had to
people are
get
like,
Harrison had to give me a ride because we had to do some other stuff that day.
Oh.
But when I was booking the move, they just said you have the second time slot. I was like, do you have an estimate? They're like, maybe 1 to 2, maybe earlier. I was like, okay, I'll maybe 12 at the earliest.
yeah.
And then I get a phone call at 10, we'll be here in 30 minutes.
Jeez. That's
Yeah,
wild. I didn't know that's how movers operated.
It's just them.
Oh.
All the other movers, I had to pick them because no other mover went out to my area, which was really annoying.
Oh,
Really?
weird.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
So I had to pick them.
Man,
Well, dang.
I wonder if I have to. No, I've noticed that. Because we used to live in the same complex, just to give some clarity. but I've noticed that company, every time someone's moving out, I do notice them more often.
Really? It's the
Otherwise,
same...
it's like a what's the it's a U-Haul, but that's because the person's
Yeah.
doing it.
Right.
Otherwise, I've always seen that company. I was like, huh.
That's
I just thought it was a
wild.
coincidence. Like, oh, you just probably picked it because
Uh-huh.
you saw it or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess that's actually the case.
Mm.
Huh.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Well, you've been busy with that then. Are you done like unpacking and all that? Or
Nope. Not even close.
That's the fun
Mainly because
part.
I've been lazy. I've had work,
I mean,
so I haven't been doing anything.
Yeah, slow unpacking's the worst. Unpacking's just the worst.
it was funny. I was supposed to wake up early that Saturday
Mhm.
morning. I didn't. I woke up to Luke's call. And I was like, he's
had
like,
to
did I
call
wake
him,
you up?
like-
I was like, no, you did the right thing.
Dang. Before we get... There's something I really want to talk about right now.
All right, what up?
So, all right. 2010, I believe, a game called Deadly Premonition was released. Okay?
Damn it. God damn it.
Okay.
And Luke, do you know about this game?
I only heard. I know of the title. I don't really know anything about the game.
Okay. The second one came out recently, but that's not the point. So yeah, this game came out, and then a few years later is when I experienced it through like a YouTube Let's Play. And the game was insane. It's about an FBI agent who goes to like a small town because he's investigating a murder. That's basically the plot. But the game is so weird, and the characters are so strange, and it just has that kind of like morbid curiosity kind of thing where you're like, this has such a weird flavor, but I gotta like know more, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I thought it was its own machination, right? But recently, I've just, throughout maybe the past year, I've heard about a show called Twin Peaks a lot.
Yeah.
And it's this old show made in the 1990s by David Lynch and Frost. Mark Frost, I
Mhm.
think. Yeah. Okay. The game, Deadly Premonition, is literally like the game designer for that watched Twin Peaks and was like, I'm going to make this into a game, except change some things so we don't get sued. It just blew my mind. When I was like watching Twin Peaks, I was like, I'm literally watching this video game. Although the show came out first. And the show is just, it's even more like, the characters are even weirder because it's not just like a voice actor doing like a weird line read or something. Now it's like actors making these really weird, interesting choices for the character, or they're being told to act this way. I don't know, or it's in the script, but whatever. Like, the characters are so freaking weird, and it's fascinating, and it's so strange, and I just keep watching more and more. It's there's like this one moment where it's the FBI agent, and because it's both in both things, it's an FBI agent and the sheriff of the town, and they're at this hospital, and they talk to this doctor guy, and he's like, they're talking about this girl who died, and he's like, she was my patient, you know. And then he just starts laughing, and they like look at him, and he keeps like chuckling, and then they walk away. And then the FBI agent's like, so he's a psychologist? And the dude's like, yep. And that's the scene. I was like, what is happening? There's, and the FBI agent's super weird too. He's like always talking into this recorder, and they mirror it in the game Deadly Premonition 2. In the game, the FBI agent's like holding a fingers to his ear, like he's talking to a earpiece, and he's like, I'm not gonna like spoil anything, but he keeps talking to someone else named Zach, but Zach doesn't exist. Like, there's no earpiece in his ear. He's just talking to himself.
What is this show?
Yeah, right? Right? But he and in the game he like keeps asking everybody. He's like, one condition, don't ask me about Zach. And so you're like, what? So he knows. It's so weird. But I don't want to get into spoilers. But in the show, he's talking to like a recorder because it's older, right? It's set in the, I don't know what time it's set. I think it's 1980s, even though it's made in the 1990s. I don't know. Maybe it's present. Who knows? Present for the time anyway. But he talks into a recorder to this person, Diane. But the weird thing about the show is things that he actually like asks for. Like he'll be like, Diane, I'm gonna need some earplugs because this. The next day, earplugs come and he's like, hey, thanks for sending those earplugs. And you're like, what? So wait, what's happening in this show? I have no idea. It's so weird and wild. And it's like amazing. I love it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I'm done.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was only funny for me because Ian already talked about this with me and one of our other friends while we were playing Apex.
Yeah. See, I've been
no.
trying to find anyone who has experienced Deadly Premonition or Twin Peaks, and nobody has, and it's frustrating for me. Just nobody in our like immediate friend group that I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're asking like the wrong people.
I know more about Twin Peaks than I do Deadly Premonition, but even then, it's not a lot.
Have you watched Twin Peaks or?
Nope. I've seen like maybe 3 clips online, but
oh, okay. I'm like deep right now. I pretty much just decided that I'm watching everything right now. So because they have like the show, it's like a TV series, and then I believe there's 1 movie or 2 movies, and then there's like something that came out recently that I'm not sure if it was a movie or a show. I don't know. I'll look into it, but just really weird stuff that I like.
It's great.
It's wild.
Don't you?
Yeah. How about you, Harrison? What have you been up to?
I'm like in this weird spot, mainly only because Destiny 2 Beyond Light comes out in a couple weeks. And anyone that's been listening to this consistently, they've noticed probably me saying a couple times, I want to start something new, but I don't want to like take too much time because then I know by then that's going to suck in my life. So I'm like, oh, I have 2 weeks left. And I'm like, I'm just kind of waiting for that just because I know like a few of the boys in our group are going to be on that as well for a bit. So just kind of waiting on that. But so I've been mainly just because I don't want to commit too hard. Just because November's got a lot of games I got to play. I've just been watching a lot of shows. So me and my girlfriend, we finished The Boys. Luke, did you watch that? Did you finish?
Yeah, I finished
a long time ago, right?
When it came out, yeah.
Yeah.
And I still haven't seen that.
Man. Oh, man. Dude, Ian, watch.
Have they set up for season 3?
Yes. They should have season 3.
Wow.
Luke, really quick, Luke, better or worse than the first season?
Good question.
Or is that going to get deep?
I feel like I liked the first one more.
Yeah, agreed.
They kind of did the same thing. Did you guys watch Stranger Things?
No.
I watched the first season.
I only watched the first season, yeah.
Okay. Because I was going to say, The Boys kind of does what Stranger Things, I feel, did in, like, the next few seasons. Where, like, season 1 of both The Boys and Stranger Things had a really cool premise. And then the next seasons kind of meander into, like, a different type of thing. Like, with The Boys specifically, it's like, we're going to go really big into, like, social commentary. Which it's relevant and it's fine. And, like, they kind of, I guess, had to. Because Stormfront, as a character both in the show and in the original graphic novel, is, like, a neo-Nazi. But I think, if I remember, Stormfront isn't as big of a deal in the graphic novel as the show. And, like, not to the same, like, level. Because Stormfront in the show was basically, like, the main character of the second season. But they kind of meander off their original premise, and I didn't enjoy it as much, I guess. I still liked the boys, but just not as much as the.
Yeah,
And
no,
they also like they did what they did with season 1, where they established the world, and here are the characters, and then in season 2 of the boys, it's all the characters get their own little subplots, and it kind of gets bogged down.
like yeah, no, it's like a lot. It's essentially like more backstory subplots for everyone, but then the main plot's kind of like watered down because you don't know. Because by the end, I'm like, so what was the big plot? You know, it was like you the whole thing when the first season was like, oh, essentially trying to it's established like what they're trying to do. While and this one is like it just feels like you're getting updates on everyone, right? On where they are. But then at the end, it found like I feel like the whole point they're trying to get to, like the whole plot, I was like, hey, we're picking up like last 3 episodes. I'm like, oh shit, because like before that I was like, all right, it's good. I just wasn't super like hooked. Like, oh, I need to watch the next episode type of deal. But it's still good. I think it's I want to know what they do for season 3, but it's more about a curiosity now, just because I feel like I get what they're trying to do, but then I don't. But so yeah, just watch that. Finished season 1 of Fire Force. Just because there's like my other friend groups like talking about it, or season 2. So I was like, all right, I'll watch it. I got nothing better to do right now, so watch that. And oh, did you guys know the Blood of Zeus dropped yesterday?
Yes.
Oh, it was yesterday? Oh,
Yeah, dropped yesterday.
Yeah.
I
watch-
probably would have known if my TV was set up. It's still
That's
not
true.
set up
That's
right now.
true. Yeah, it's out. All 8 episodes. I've only seen episode 1. You said yes.
was
Did
it?
you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it. I
No.
just saw it on Netflix because I was watching Twin Peaks.
Of course, it's good. I mean, I'm interested because it's first episode. They're establishing a lot. I feel like, or trying to.
Okay.
I get definitely it's like the level of Castlevania where it's like the art is there, the gore, like the violence is there. Because there's moments I'm like, oh shit, like they just fucking knocked that guy's head off. Oh yeah, this is the same studio that did Castlevania. Yeah, I'm not surprised anymore. But holy shit,
It's
But-
like as long as for me, if it's going along the same track as Castlevania, and it's not going the same line as like Dragon's Dogma, I'll probably check it out.
okay. I haven't seen the other one ever
And also,
since
I
you
mean, it
talked
seems
about it.
like 8 episodes too is pretty short, so that might just be
Yeah.
like,
It's also only 30 minutes, so it's pretty quick.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good bender.
Yeah, it's a good,
no more of these hour-long episodes.
which is fine. I'll take it. I'll take it. I mean, I think this is a better option because remember how Castlevania season 1, quote unquote, was 3 episodes. It was pretty
Yeah.
quick, and then they
Yeah.
dropped essentially the rest of it, and they're like season 2. I'm like, this was 1 season. You guys should have just probably put it, but they're probably just feeling it out, type of deal.
Mhm.
So this one was 8 episodes for 1 season. So I'll let you guys know. Most likely I'll be done by next week.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, because it's good, or at least it has a good idea of what's going on. But I don't know the premise yet, so we'll find out. They're just setting up the world. Yeah. Other than that, just been playing Apex occasionally. Oh, random, but do you guys remember the game Rayman 2? Rayman 3? Rayman 2 on Nintendo
I remember
64?
Rayman. I don't know all the games, but
So,
Same.
they had a game on N64, and just really quick, just because it was on sale. If anyone
Is it
played
Hoodlum
it,
Havoc?
that's the
that
third
the
one.
one?
That's the third
Oh,
one. I think
okay.
the Great Escape was the second.
Okay.
The
The
Hoodlum
one,
Havoc,
I only played Hoodlum Havoc.
that's
so-
on sale for $1.50 on GOG.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so I bought them both just because I was like, oh, you know what? I kind of want to play it. Because I bought it on Ubisoft and it didn't work. So I finally just bought it on GOG and it works fine with the controller. I'm like, oh, this is great. Fuck it.
Nice.
It's only because having on this N64, I didn't have a save pack. So I never got to actually play the game.
Right.
So
You had to have that.
you had to have that thing on the controller. So I would always get stuck at a certain point but because we don't get all the way through, I would have to restart the game every fucking time. So the game became, let's see how far we can get this time. And there are moments when me and my brother would just leave the N64 on, which would piss our parents off because they're like, that's going to damage the N64. I'm like, yeah, you're right, but I want to get further in the game.
I have to beat this game.
But we never did. And I realized how far we got, which was not that far at all.
It was like for the life of me, I can't remember Hoodlum Havoc, like the ending at all. I remember this one area and this one boss fight, and that's it.
I just remember a reoccurring boss, right?
Yeah, it was the one you kept like having to fight.
Yeah. Again and again. Probably play it out eventually. We'll see. But
Rayman was so fun. That was a fun game, seriously.
And then everyone gets confused when it becomes rabbits, and it's like, wait, no, not that one. That's not the one I'm talking about.
Rabbids.
But that's it. Nothing crazy.
Cool.
Hey, I know there's a lot of stuff that dropped recently, but I think there's one thing I wanted to touch on was I think Luke posted this, or no, I did. How Assassin's Creed and Netflix are getting a series.
Oh, right.
And I'm excited.
It's live action, right?
I believe it's live action. I believe so. I get confused just because I think only one place said an anime, but I think that was an old article and I get it mixed up. But yes, it should be live action. But I think
it has a lot of potential.
It has potential.
I think I wonder too. I guess like getting into Assassin's Creed, it's probably the reason like the movie did so bad was they tried to do both sides of the game. Were like super action packed, but also like political thriller. And like you kind of have that with like Jason Bourne or Jack Reacher or Mission Impossible even. But like, I feel if they're gonna try and do Assassin's Creed right, I feel like they need to kind of align more towards. I want to say political thriller because I think it'd be more interesting instead of just like another action show. But
yeah,
they have a lot to live up to, but also they don't because the movie was so bad. But like the movie was bad, so who's gonna care?
Yeah,
it's like a double-edged sword for them.
It is, but I personally think the main reason they should probably do not action, but focus more on like actual like in that time period assassin versus like focusing on modern day. Because to me, at the end of the day, this is also this is only me mirroring what the games are. Like, people end up not caring much for the modern day stuff after 3. So maybe just focus on the strength of it and just focus on like a time period. Maybe. I don't know. But this is also, I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. So we're going to find out.
Right.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, that was going to be my question what do you think they're, if they are going to like pick a time period and focus on it, what do you think they're gonna do,
dude?
Or what would you like to see?
Dude, I don't know. I know it's too much because I know what I want to say for a game. I'm like, dude, this is the most go-to shit ever, but just do Japan. Just finally touch the ninja thing and just do it. Like
but for the show
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I can say what I don't want them to do is don't do Ezio. Please don't. He's had enough time. He's done everything.
He's had enough time.
He's gotten 3 games. He's gotten like a movie. He's gotten like all the comics. Like, it's fine.
His 15 minutes of fame are over.
Because a lot of people were wanting that. They're like, do Ezio. I'm like, you're not gonna like it.
They've
you're
already
not gonna
done.
Like it.
We've seen his entire story. So like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. Do you just want to see it in live action? I'm like, you're not gonna be happy. I think just do like a time period that they haven't touched, or just a new character. Same plot, sure, because that's, if they don't, they're gonna get like, everyone's gonna get mad at them. So just
right. I mean, it has to be like the Assassins versus the Templar kind of thing.
Some people have been like, oh, this is a promotion for the game. I'm like, no, the game's coming out in like 2 weeks. It's not gonna happen. So we'll see. You guys hear anything else though?
Dude, did you guys know there's a... Oh, fuck. What was it? Let me see if I can...
I'm not.
No, I can't. Alright, it doesn't matter. It's like a 9,600 hour game or something like that. Something ridiculous.
No.
I found out about
Is
this.
it one of those games that's like trying to be some meta commentary about a video game or something?
I don't think so. The way it was explained to me, it's like, maybe it is, but it's basically like this game that you're playing through, and the plot is you're like having to wait for this old king or something to wake up, and it takes a long time. So the game is actually like 9,600 hours of gameplay, and you just explore the world for that time. It's so weird. It's cool. I don't know too much about it. I just thought it was like cool that is a thing.
Huh.
Yeah. You're like this little dude, and you have your little like hovel home, but you like explore these like underground like caves and caverns and things, and you can bring stuff back to your home. You find interesting things. I'm never gonna play this game, first of all, because that's too much. I think it's designed in a way that you like maybe play 10 to 30 minutes a day kind of thing, or maybe not even that much, but like you play like in little amounts over a long time. But I imagine I can imagine somebody like really getting into that, because I think it like things will happen too. So if you're like at this place at a certain time, something might happen. I think it's kind of one of those. It's interesting.
Okay.
I was just, it was like one of those clickbait things where it's like 9,600 hour game, and I was like, what? That's weird. I'm gonna bite this bait like a fish. And I did. It was interesting. But that's really all I have to say about it.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think one funny thing that our editor posted Discord was that Xbox finally they just keep memeing it up, and they actually made the fridge, the Xbox Series X fridge.
Wait, what? They like it exists?
Yeah, they made
it
like
exists.
their...
That's hilarious. Is it for sale?
There's a giveaway. I found out before because Snoop Dogg got one, apparently.
Oh my god.
Or he was promoting it. I was like, what?
That's silly.
I thought it was just a joke for that, but I was like, oh shit, this
Yeah.
is actually happening.
It's great marketing. That's silly.
That's silly. But
Stop it, Xbox. You're silly. That's silly.
That's all I got. You guys want to move on to the main topic?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's jump into it.
Let's
Get
go. Let
into
me
it.
sit up. Let me get ready.
Let's just jump into it.
No, that's what. No, don't. Other people have used that.
Yeah, I know. That's an unoriginal joke. Sorry.
All right, topic time. All right. So the main thing, mostly just because, I think someone was talking. I was talking to someone about this. It was a good point. Gatekeeping. It's kind of a broad topic, but I just want to there's going to be some points I want to touch on, but I guess for those that don't know what gatekeeping is, I searched up definitions like a good person because I wouldn't know. Yeah. Don't worry about it. I'm bad. Words.
Sure.
Google says gatekeeping is the activity of controlling and using limiting general access to something.
Wait,
Wikipedia.
Sorry. Can I pause? Can I pause?
This is
I
bit.
want us to. I want to have like a podcast now where we're just words, hard, English, cup, longboard, and it's just that for like 10 minutes.
I bet a lot of people actually listen to that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not
Something weird.
like us specific, but I bet there's like some genre
Yeah.
of just idle
yeah, like
noise.
some like cult following of that. Yeah.
That's some weird shit, dude. Where was I? Other. Oh, definition. There we go. Wikipedia says gatekeeping is the process through which information is filtered or for dissemination, whether for publication, broadcasting, internet, blah blah, other mode of communication. That's weird. The main one actually is more probably in line with what we were going to talk about is the Urban Dictionary one. Haha. When someone takes it upon themselves to decide who does or does not have access to rights to a community or identity.
And we all know Urban Dictionary has the most accurate definition.
I
just search up my name. It's 100% true.
Shit, I remember doing that.
I'm just kidding.
Examples for those that have not experienced this or do not know what this is, Ian.
Yes. I'm listening.
For instance, one person A says, I love punk bands like Green Day. Person B, ugh, they're not even punk. They're totally sold out.
That's a good line read. That's a good read.
Thanks, man. Second example. Person A, oh man, I love Harry Potter. I'm such a geek. God, that hurt to read. That actually hurt to read.
Oh,
Person B,
Oh,
hardly.
God.
Talk to me when you're into theoretical physics. I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
That was the two examples I got.
So yeah.
So
Okay.
so just to set the stage on that, because before we talked, Ian was like, I need an example. I was like, all right, here's that. But with
Mhm.
that, I guess just to kind of break it in, have you guys ever actually experienced that, like in a good or bad way? It's mostly bad. Let's be honest.
I was thinking about this, and I don't remember a specific time, but it's one of those things that, because, you know, everybody in high school is a hormonal teenager, so, and or middle school, you know, like, I'm sure that's happened to me, and I'm sure I've done that to someone too. It's just like one of those things that awful kids do.
Honestly, I feel like I can't remember a specific time, but I feel like I've seen or experienced the most gatekeeping in college.
Yep.
Mainly because like the college I went to was like kind of hipstery,
You know what? Yeah, I agree.
and like I remember distinctly, we were doing an icebreaker for one of my labs, and we were talking about, oh, this is our favorite music or whatever, and this one girl was like, oh, you wouldn't know them. They're not mainstream.
Oh,
And like super elitist about it, and maybe that's not necessarily gatekeeping, but it's that same attitude of like, oh, you don't need to know, you don't deserve to know because I'm the real fan because I listened to them first, and it's like, okay,
That's a form. I'd say that's a form.
whatever.
And then when the band gets popular, it's like, oh, they've changed.
Yeah, they sold out. They're it's not like their old stuff anymore.
They used
Yeah.
to be cool. Yeah.
Because I was gonna,
because
oh,
like I've had the same. I will say, some of the people I know are really big beer snobs, and so that's probably
Yeah, I was
like
gonna
the most
mention that.
recent example of like gatekeeping. It's
mhm.
like, oh, why are you drinking that? It's just like, dude, I'm just drinking.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's
Even-
that's
I'm
one.
Or
just
like-
drinking.
Like
just
you
drinking,
want to get a
man.
cocktail, it's like, oh, that's a girl's drink. Like it is a
That's-
drink.
But it
And
tastes
I'm
good.
gonna drink it, and I don't care. There's no such thing as a guy or girl drink.
Yeah.
And it's
Dude-
just ridiculous stuff like that.
Dude, I'm just drinking is probably
The best.
like one of the top 5 moods of Corona
just-
right now.
It's just like, I'm
It's
just drinking.
dude, I'm just drinking.
I'm just here, man.
Not even a good vibe, but
Uh,
I'm vibing.
So actually, I just remembered another thing. I remember this only because it was a very quick thing, but I remember one time, and it was really funny because it was Kim Kardashian mentioned how she watched anime,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when everyone was like they're giving her so much crap because they're like, "Oh, what anime do you watch? Oh, you watch that? I don't remember what she watched, or maybe she had like a shirt Oh, it was, she had a shirt on, and it was just like,
Mhm.
it was just her going out, and I think she had a shirt. I don't remember the exact scenario, but I think it dealt with a shirt, or she watched an anime and it had an anime person on it, and they're like, oh, she doesn't watch anime. She just has that shirt just because it's stylish, blah blah blah. She probably doesn't watch, it's like that kind of thing.
Right.
But it's just like,
right.
no, I do. And then that's when people are like, oh, what do you watch? And then they're like, oh, you only watch that. You're not a real anime fan.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like some of the
I think anime. Sorry, go ahead.
I was like, some of the fandoms that I've been around are definitely like omega gatekeepers. Like anime is, I think, is a big one of like
Agreed.
they'll gatekeep the shit out of you because like, oh, you like it's literally like, you like anything I don't like, you have bad taste. That character's your waifu, you have bad taste. Like, okay,
the waifu
like,
wars.
let's calm down a little bit.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny because with that they like shot on her for that, but then like Michael B. Jordan watches anime and he does like a line, or he did like a shoe line, I think, or he partnered with someone and did like a Naruto line, and everyone's like praising him for that because oh my god, he watches anime, he's our savior, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's like super double standard.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, bottom line is like they're both celebrities, and it's like, I guess it's like, it's just obviously there's more to it because I'm sure it's like, oh, people just don't like the Kardashians because they're known for like their TV show and all that stuff.
Right.
And
Well,
other
yeah,
shit.
I think like
There's a level.
the people who are like, oh, she's like a fake fan or whatever of anime are probably people who just are like have this image of her being like this shallow, like, yeah, like the shallow person, and
it's just like the
it's
typical
like their own
celebrity.
perspective that limits their ability to not be shitty.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
I was listening to a podcast and T-Pain was on it, and like, because T-Pain is like a gigantic nerd, like,
Yep.
he streams on Twitch a lot and he loves playing video games. He like, I mean, he has, in my opinion, some like really kind of bad tattoos, but whatever. But he talks about like, because he was kind of in that new generation of rappers where like they played video games and they were like really into nerd stuff, whereas kind of like the generation before, you had like the really hard rappers where it's like, drugs, drinking, cars, women, like living that like badass lifestyle. And he was talking about like, there's like a switch just kind of got flipped where suddenly all these rappers were trying to like, oh yeah, I'm cool, like I'm a nerd too. And it's just like, not necessarily even gatekeeping, but just like, I can kind of see where people do get upset, where like someone who traditionally would like, oh, they bully the nerds, and then suddenly, oh, look, I like nerd stuff too. That's probably where people get it from. But it's definitely like interesting to see people just pick up on these trends.
Yeah.
I mean, the big thing was like with Marvel.
Yeah.
Because you have like the Marvel movie fans, and then you have the comic book fans who are like, you're not a real fan because you only watch the movies and it's not real. All this like ridiculousness that like, they can like something, they just don't have to like your medium. They don't want to read, they just watch, and
yeah,
it gets ridiculous.
Yeah,
I was gonna say like that was my, and I just to clarify, like the question wasn't really like towards you. It's just, I guess, what you've seen. Sorry, I should have said that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that
experience. So, but for me, the comic book thing is too real because like at work, people know me as like one of the comic book guys. They're like, oh, he's the Marvel guy. He's like the Batman dude because he knows all this stuff. And then I never say that, but and I guess I indirectly cause or do gatekeeping, but not on purpose. But it's just like, it's just because like I think it's more like when people ask me, it's like, oh, have you seen a movie? I'm like, yeah, no, it's good. And then they're like, and then somehow it gets into, well, yeah, because on the comics, blah blah blah. I try to explain like some differences, but not because I'm like, oh, this is better or worse, or like, oh, you wouldn't understand. But then there are times when I'm like, well, if you watch the movies, and it's this whole thing where I try not to gatekeep because I want them to watch. I get excited when someone's like, oh yeah, like they're like, oh, I like the Marvel movies. Oh yeah, cool. Which one? Blah blah blah. Then we start talking. But then there's sometimes they're like, oh, I only like this one. I'm like, that's cool. And I try to like be chill about it, but I'm like, but you should watch this one too, because it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's just because then at times I'm like, oh yeah, like you watch the movies. It's good enough for the comics most of the time. I'm like, they'll hit the hard points. They won't get the details sometimes, but honestly,
Well, it sounds like you're not ever being like, oh, you're not allowed to like this then.
yeah,
And I think that's like
just silently judging, which is the
Yeah.
best part.
yeah, I think that's yes, I think that's
just like,
'Cause,
oh,
like,
this person has
Yeah,
bad
like
taste.
I'm not gonna like I try not to gatekeep, and I feel like I do a good job, but I judge people so hard. I'm like, why? That's bad. Like, why do you like that?
as we've seen in our anime discussion.
Yeah.
yeah. So we see.
I see like the assumption I'm making on like the mentality of it is people hate it's kind of like something you talk about if you study acting. It's you have to there's like a suspense of belief, right? But you have to believe that you are the character so much so that the audience like doesn't see that you're faking, right? Because people hate like if people can spot being fake so easily.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it's like when an actor's bad, it's like, oh,
You
this
just
is
know.
a horrible actor. Like it's so easy to see. And so I think that's kind of where it comes from. Is like let's take the Marvel movies example. You have all these like comic fans who are like, back in the day, it's like, oh yeah, this is so cool. This is my shit. And then you have all these people like coming out of the woodworks for like the movies and stuff. And they're like, I can see someone thinking like, oh, you just like it now because it's
like
it's the
popular.
cool thing to like,
Yeah.
rather than actually liking it because of itself,
Right. Yeah.
As i.e. being like a fake fan.
Huh.
But so I that's where I would think people are coming from. But
Yeah.
it's not like it's a poisonous mentality, I guess. Because you should look at it in a way it's like, yeah, maybe they're only maybe I don't think it's because other people like it, but because it's being introduced to them more and more, they get a chance to like it, and that should be like a thing to celebrate.
It should
right?
be it should be a celebration versus like a war over the stupidest shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in comic books, more I think about it is like it's what I've seen online sometimes is like when something comes out, this is when like the the legit hardcore fans come out. It's like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna do this, and then they're like, oh, someone's gonna be, oh, what's this? And oh, you don't know? How do you not know? You should reach this. Have you not read this? I'm like, no, they literally just asked, what's this?
Yeah.
But
it's kind of like the hardcore versus casual
Yeah.
person.
because
Yeah.
it's just like, and it's just really, and you're right, it's really apparent when someone's like trying to like fake it, or oh yeah, these guys are like the original OG Avengers, blah blah blah, this is like top
Mhm.
tier. I was like, yeah, and then but then someone, like, for me, I was about to do it, it's like, yeah, but you guys realize that X-Men was like the cooler one, right? Because they were the ones that had the movies first, because that's what people liked more. And I was like, oh,
Uh-huh.
fuck.
I had a
Spider-Man.
There's
that's the
also
other
a
one.
weird. Oh wait, what?
No, I was
Spider-Man?
like, Spider-Man was another one, but go on.
Yeah. I had a weird moment of like, I think it's also weird being the person like receiving the gatekeeping. I mean, obviously, but it wasn't even gatekeeping this one time where I thought I was like a Lord of the Rings like super nerd fan. I thought.
Ooh.
And then I met some people in college
Oh man.
who were like, "Do you guys remember the elf lady?"
Galadriel.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were like, like I didn't know her name at all. I just knew her character.
Oh no.
But like we were talking about it and stuff, and then they're pulling out those names and stuff, and they were pulling things from the
Silmarillion.
Similar, yeah, that word.
I know exactly the kind of
and
people
I was
we're
like,
talking about.
I just felt so like
Just out of your depth of like,
yeah. I was like, I thought this was a deep pond, but that's a deep pond.
Like,
No, that's deep, dude.
like I remember, because like I would even consider myself like a really big Lord of the Rings nerd,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny because like I can like most people their experience is like the movies and like yeah the movies are cool,
Mm-hmm.
and then you talk about like, oh, do you know who the Varda are? And they're like, I don't know what that means. Like,
Yeah.
like the funniest part is when I was interviewing for my job,
Mm-hmm.
and on my second interview, the very last question, kind of just completely unrelated, one of the guys interviewing me was like, where do hobbits come from? And I gave him an answer, and then after the fact I asked him like, do you always ask that question? He's like, yeah, I just like to like, throw people a bone, see what they do. He's like, has anyone ever just said, I don't know what that means? He's like, yeah, it's always kind of awkward. It's like,
oh
like,
no.
What's a hobbit? You're like, don't
Oh,
worry.
no.
Like he's even said like, don't worry about
That's funny.
That's funny.
it. Yeah,
Holy
because
shit.
like I've read some of the standalone books from Lord of the Rings too,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, we're getting into some weird stuff.
Yeah. Like the reason I thought that I was like, oh yeah, of course I'm in Lord of the Rings like super fan is because I watched all the movies, I've read some of the books, and then I like played some of the games. I was like, oh yeah, like I've experienced this in a good amount of media. Like,
But you're
good amount
not
of
a
time.
super fan. You didn't read all the
Yeah.
books.
And the people who were like talking about it, they weren't gatekeeping at all.
No.
It was just like I felt so
It's
lost
just
in the
another
conversation.
level.
There's a
Yeah,
level that you
yeah.
just didn't think you could. You thought you were there, but you weren't there yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like, I felt that way with music.
Mm.
Because like when I went to college, the college I went to was a big music school,
Mm-hmm.
like classical music basically, and
Right. And jazz.
yeah, basically not like it's not contemporary music.
Right.
And like in high school, like I really liked classical music. I listened to a lot, but then I would talk to some people there, and I'm just like, I have no idea what is going on. And like some people just like, some it's their field of study where they only study specific composers or specific time periods, but they can just rattle off stuff, and I'm like, I know, like, I can name the big composers, but I can't name every single symphony, and I can't name
Mhm.
like their history or whatever. And it's like, it's definitely interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the same. Like I can be like, oh, I know who Tchaikovsky is, but
Yeah, it's like, yeah, there's
like
you
I
got
don't know
Mahler, Beethoven,
what he's
Mozart,
written.
and then
Like-
they go into like some really interesting stuff, and like, okay, you lost me.
Nah, you
Yeah,
lost me.
you got.
It's nice for me because like I really like to learn, so it's and it's always cool to see someone just like suddenly just geek out, and you're just staring at
Yeah.
them like, I'm gonna pay attention because it's polite, but I'm just gonna let you know now, I don't know what you're talking about.
Man,
Yeah.
that's. But actually, staying on the topic of music, because I kind of wanted to go into the next part more. So,
Hmm.
this is where I see it more often. Like we kind of touched on it before with the whole something goes mainstream versus like small time,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen this like in person too, and it's always like the weird part of, like, for instance, I think it's really funny how this goes for a lot of like we talked about Green Day, but like this kind of goes for a lot of bands too. And I remember
Uh-huh.
hearing this a lot back then in high school, or like even in college more so. It's like, oh, you like this band, but because they like got popular, like some people are like, oh yeah, they got popular, like, it's so great. And then it's so weird to hear people like say like, oh yeah, I listen to them a lot. I was like, wait, what? And then some people don't like that. Is, to an extent, is that okay? Like, do you guys like, does that bother you guys at all? Like, for
Wait,
instance,
I think you lost me.
So okay, so like my main question is more like, is it does it rub you guys the wrong way, or you guys just kind of like don't care if someone's like, hey, or like let's say like your favorite band gets really popular and someone's like, yeah, no, fuck them because now they're like popular. It's not. I listened to them before.
Man, that's stupid.
Oh, the hipster
Yeah.
Yeah, just being a super hipster.
stuff.
Yeah, super hipster.
Like, there are plenty of bands I don't like to listen to anymore, but that's because I personally don't like the way their music sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, yeah, whatever. But like when they get popular, you should be happy for your band because that means they've quote unquote made it. They don't have to play at like bars anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just
like I get. Yeah, if it truly is like the only reason is because they got popular, then that's bad. That's just shitty.
Yeah, it's like,
but if it's like a change in something, I can see them being like, oh, like I don't understand like hating. It's like, oh, I hate them now. But I can understand somebody being like, I don't really listen to them anymore because they like changed their genre, or they went in a direction I didn't like. Like I can get that. I do understand that, but
yeah, it's. I mean, I saw a lot of that kind of like in high school and then like my first maybe 2 years in college, but it's from what I saw personally, it's people who like music is kind of like their thing. It's their only hobby, or it's like the crux of their personality. And so when it doesn't make them feel special anymore, they get kind of upset.
Because it was like their thing.
Yeah, it's like, I like them. That's me.
Yeah.
Because
like
I think even in high school, I thought one of our friends we had in high school was really into Breaking Benjamin. And then when some of our other friends started listening, he got kind of mad. He's like, no, like I listen to Breaking Benjamin. That's my band. We're just like, dude, it's just music. Calm down.
Oh man, that's so weird.
That's interesting. That's a different mentality. I
don't
know how to.
I have seen that. And it's always the weirdest thing because you wouldn't like if you like them so much, wouldn't you want your like for instance like Luke showed me this like he showed me Sum 41. I was like, oh yeah, these guys are great, and I show it to other people because I'm like, this is fucking dope. If you don't like it, well, get fucked. But
that's wow, that's a straight line from Luke to you to me.
Oh yeah, oh my!
Because you showed me Sum 41.
No, yeah, that's right.
And it's one of those things where
funny.
like. We just stopped listening because we just didn't like them anymore.
Yeah, it's
or like
we grew out of our edgy high school phase. We're like, we don't need to listen to punk anymore.
Yeah, no, it was so funny because like I remember listening to like all those bands like religiously back then, and then now it's like, oh yeah, I listen to like EDM and rap. I've changed.
I've changed.
High school me would hate me. But
yeah, I mean, and I think. For some reason, something I remember when I had like a really big Ed Sheeran phase was he came. This is like a weird, just like point in my memory that I remember, but it was some interview or something, and he said he came to America because it was hard because people thought success was bad, where over in England. So that's why he came here. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So I imagine he had I don't think like all of England's like success is bad, but I imagine like there's like in his sphere there was like a lot of probably things like that where it's like, oh, you're changing, man, success is making you be different kind of thing.
Yeah, like, at least for me, I see more of, like, I feel like what we've talked about a lot is, like, kind of hard gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of what I've seen now is kind of, like, soft gatekeeping, or, like, you still, like, you both enjoy whatever you're doing, but they either subtly or not just let you know that, oh, we're superior.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, for, like, a big thing for guys is, like, going to the gym. It's like, oh, how much you bench? Like, what you do? Like, what's your routine like?
Oh my god!
It's like, dude, I'm just working out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I remember Harrison, like way back when, you were telling me when you went to college, like Monday was deadlift day for the gym boys. And it was like,
Wait.
you would see on Monday all these like super big guys doing their big old deadlifts.
Oh wait, no, it was chest day. It was chest day Monday. That's what
it was, yeah, one of those days.
Yeah.
But like these guys were doing it deliberately to show off,
Mm-hmm.
and also like they would judge you
Yep.
if you were like, "Hey, I'm gonna do bench too," and like
Yep.
you're not even doing 225. What are you doing, bro?
Man.
This is the big boys chest day. We don't like you don't bench 90 pounds here. You're like,
That what? Holy
I do
shit.
chest day. Come on, like move off the bench because we're all big boys. Let me bench my 90. You can bench your 225, and like we're all happy.
Man, no,
I see stuff like that all the time.
Yeah,
now.
it's not even like I remember this because it was like, oh, you don't even bench a plate. What are you doing? Get off the bench. And I was like,
Yeah, and
damn.
it's like, that's not the point of the gym.
It's like, I was like, the guy's trying to like get better, please.
Yeah, and like especially like it's never people at the complete like top tier of whatever they're doing that gatekeep.
Right.
It's only people kind of like in the middling levels where they start trying to gatekeep.
Yeah,
Because like,
Mhm.
oh, we made it, we've done it, we've crossed the bar, so now we're the new we're the bar for excellence.
Mm-hmm.
now we
It's
have
like-
to
It's
judge
definitely like-
others to
Yeah,
see if
you
they
see
can
you
get
see
it.
all these people doing it, and then the actual top tier people are like, dude, just let them do what they want to do.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. It's the gatekeepers are like people who are like insecure and jealous,
yeah,
and the people who actually do get to the top will then bring people up there with them.
mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah,
I totally.
Yeah,
I
it always makes me sad because like
Mm.
like 90% of the time I feel like when people are gatekeeping it's because they're insecure about it,
Mm-hmm.
and
yeah, I think that's like with music, because you were talking about people who were like gatekeeping music. It was like you're saying it was their personality was music.
yeah,
So it's like they're insecure because their whole personality is so one-dimensional.
yeah, and then like
That's so true. Yeah,
yeah, it always just feels bad.
man,
It's a shame.
I didn't even think about work like gym as a thing. Holy shit.
Yeah, like
Yeah, you're right.
it's ridiculous for some
It's
people.
pretty. Yeah, it's pretty bad. You're right. I remember that. I totally forgot. I was like, even like back when we all worked at like at that one gym back in when we all lived closer, and I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, you notice how everyone on Monday, even at that point, I'm like, yeah, you see how everyone's benching on Monday? It's because it's a legit thing. And I was like, this is also why I've decided to not do Just Day Monday, because I actually want to be able to do it.
Mm.
Actually,
Yeah, you
use
just
a bench.
go when middle of the week when people are like, I'm tired, I don't want to go to the gym. And
Yeah.
like, well, I go to the gym every day anyway, so
Yeah.
Mm.
I can actually work out and not look pretty and just like just be pretty at the gym.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think I remember the person who got me into working out a lot because of the whole, because this was also at our college gym.
This is
There
the
was,
thing.
like, a
It's
Just
just
Day
a
Monday.
thing.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
a
thing
thing.
Yeah,
in
it's just
general.
it's a stupid thing.
But we started doing Leg Day Monday
because
to-
you
because
have
of
No
that.
one's at the
access.
squat rack.
Yeah.
People just want to fight over the bench.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
because I remember, at my college, I would purposely do. I knew everyone's schedule at that point because everyone did the same fucking thing. So I'm like, all right, I'll do Trust Day Fridays
Mhm.
because no one ever fucking does it on Friday, but also no one works out on Friday.
Yeah.
So, have you? One last, because I wasn't even going to talk about that. I didn't think about that. Have you guys noticed that with like literature, like with books? Because you guys read more than me. Like for instance, I guess
I don't think people don't necessarily gatekeep. I think like people in the literature are just really judgy.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like they're happy you're reading, but they're not happy you're reading garbage.
Okay.
I think I agree with that too, to an extent. When I took some writing classes in college, and the people who were in those classes were very like, yeah, exactly what Luke said. Not all of them, but there were a lot of people like that.
I think a little different because I think reading so far hasn't had the same kind of like cultural renaissance that other nerdy stuff has. Like reading, I think is just perpetually like nerdy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so for most people, like if they talk about reading, like, oh, they get excited, especially like, oh, you read fantasy, I read fantasy. And then like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I only read historical nonfiction. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had mostly good experiences. Yeah, there was I like found out me and another person liked God, why do I want to say Bernie Sanders?
Brandon
Sanderson.
Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson.
Damn it.
We we both found out we liked those,
Uh-huh.
and then his books, and then she was like just rattling off all these other authors that like she was like, oh, you should read this person too
Yeah.
if you like this. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, this is great. It was a lot, but it was great
Yeah.
that she was like excited to like get me more, and that's been most of my experience with reading and
Because even
literature in
like
general.
back when I used to deliver pizza, one of my coworkers who did not look like someone who reads, like he was kind of your stereotypical alcoholic gym bro, but he randomly started reading a Stephen King book, and I was just like, dude, Stephen King is like amazing. And he was like, I kind of forgot how much I really like to read, because like if we weren't working, he was in the back just reading, and he went through like 2 or 3 books like super fast, because like he's just like, yeah, this is like way better than I thought it was gonna be.
Dang.
If you're talking about the same person I think you're talking about, I find that person fascinating.
Yeah, I think we're
In a
thinking
weird
of the
way.
same person.
Dang.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask,
Hmm.
just like for funsies, for the 3 of us, like, what's the thing for you guys that you might gatekeep someone about, or like, not even what's the thing you think you know a lot about? Because Ian was like, oh, I like Lord of the Rings, and then suddenly there's like another level. Is there something else you can think of, like, I like this, and then like I actually have no idea what I'm talking about?
Oh man.
Okay, that was me with I would say that was me with legitimately comics. This was like at the beginning of college, I like thought I knew stuff about it. At that point, I was like, because I would say like I started reading more in college. Like I used to, like when I was younger, but then stopped and then got back into it because internet made it easy. But then like I think it was just like, oh, like I remember one of our friends, I'm like, oh, what superhero do you like? And I'd be like, oh, I like Batman. And then that's when I learned I was not the real fan. He was. And he would start talking about,
which Batman did you like? You're like, Batman?
wait, what do you
He's
mean
like,
which? He's like, yeah, which era?
Which one?
He's like, which era? Or like, which Robin do you like? I'm like, oh, I like this one. Or actually, the only time I ever got cred was when I was like, oh yeah, I like Jason Todd. And that's what everyone's like, wait, who? And then like there's a few guys that are like, oh, you like him? Oh, he knows.
You're like, yes, I got a point.
I got a point.
Yes.
Hell yeah. But then there are times when it's like, oh yeah, I know like the big comics, but then there are times when it's like, oh, do you keep up? Do you know what, like, what's this? Like, do you know what's going on with the Justice League? Oh, have you read this? I was like, I've fallen out. Holy shit. and then that's when I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna start reading more. I'm gonna keep up more. But comics is just so hard to keep up with. Like legitimately, I've just stopped. I'm like, I'll keep up with like the big stories. Cause sidebar, it's so much work when you read, like, for instance, I just want to read, like, let's say I read the Batman line. I don't know what happens in one series because it happens in another comic line that's adjacent to the Batman family. I'm like, wait, now I have to read that line, but I have to start from the beginning in order to get what's going on. But then sometimes they refer to another comic line. I was like, son of a fucking bitch. Versus like anything else, it's just one linear experience. It's not a fucking spider web. But that's
you have to turn into like Charlie Day from Always Sunny when he's like trying to put together the mailroom
that
conspiracy thing.
I become that meme. Yep, 100%. That's exactly how it feels. But that's my thing that I can think of off the top of my head. I can try to think of something else.
Dude, I have a bunch of examples. Like World of Warcraft, that happened.
Yeah.
fucking Lord of the Rings had happened. God, there's a ton of things. I always feel like I'm on the little baby, like just getting into the thing.
'Cause, like, that's kind of what I was gonna say is because like I tend to have a lot of interest in just everything, so I learn like a bunch of random things, but not enough to even say like, oh yeah, like I know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, I know comics, but I'm not gonna go like. I like comics. I like some of the weird ones that are kind of offshoots or one shots, and I don't know anything about the big lines.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but
And like with working out, like, oh yeah, I know like all these routines, and then people start talking about like really specific, like, oh, do you do supinated on this? Like, is there a difference? Or like, oh, there's actually a huge difference because over time, if you they just rattle off about like body mechanics, basically.
you know what? Really quick, because you just reminded me. Another form of gatekeeping I remember was like, oh, how do you work out? Oh, I do CrossFit. And that's when everyone's like,
oh my
everyone's
god.
like, oh no.
See, I
Yeah.
don't think that. I think that's just judging for like, that doesn't work.
It was more like, let's say like for instance, I think it's be like, oh, it's the whole, oh, we do like the bro lift. And then someone's like, oh, I do CrossFit. And we're like, oh no, you do that. It's like that's totally not the right way. You're not actually working out. Like they essentially gatekeeping working out, period. It's like you're not working out, you're just moving. I remember hearing people saying that. It was like essentially like, oh, you're not an athlete. Like, don't shut up. It's like that kind of thing. I remember hearing that in college. I was like, oh.
Really?
And that's when I got that mentality too, just because I kept hearing it. And then now I'm like, dude, you work out how you work out. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I think those people need to like watch CrossFit games or something before they say that.
I think they need to differentiate between people who kind of like actually do CrossFit
Mhm.
and then people who go to CrossFit gyms.
Yeah,
and
there's
then
a difference.
just flail around
Yeah.
trying to do pull-ups and like that you're gonna hurt yourself doing
Yeah,
that.
there's a difference.
Yeah.
Because like
I was naive.
CrossFit uses a lot of the Olympic style lifts, like
They
cleans,
do.
Mhm.
snatches, and press, and like those are really good for you. But
Mhm.
it's everything around what they're doing. Where like we're gonna do a clean, and then when we get to the top, you just toss the bar to your partner. It's like, yeah, that's not safe, bro. And like it's CrossFit though.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah,
okay, you're just not being safe.
Yeah. There's a lot of things in CrossFit where I'm like, I don't like that. But the way I see it is CrossFit is a sport,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily like a lifestyle or like it I just see it as a sport. And so, it comes with the things that sports come with in terms of like you can get injured if you're not
Yeah.
safe and there are things to think about with that. The thing that I really don't like is just a lot of it is like we'll do this like compound Olympic lift, but we'll do it for like speed and reps.
Oh my
And you're like,
God.
and for time, and it's like that's not safe.
No.
That's not the purpose
It's like
of that
the
lift.
complete
That's a power.
opposite of what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Exactly.
It's-
Like you want to pick up the heaviest thing you can pick up and do it once because it's Olympics. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But I also agree that like there are some really good things about CrossFit too,
Yeah.
where it's like there's community around it because those people who are in CrossFit like
They're tight.
they're tight,
They're
yeah.
tight.
Like it's like if you're looking for a community, that's a great
Mm.
place to do it. But
Sorry, I cut you off.
God,
Luke.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I cut you off when you were like listing stuff off, so that was my bad.
What was I saying?
You were
He
things.
tangent off into working out, but
Yeah.
you were talking.
You were talking like you thought you say you knew some comics.
Oh
and
yeah,
then,
like
work
I
out.
just like I know a bunch of stuff about everything, but not a whole lot about everything. I
Oh
was
man, my girlfriend says I have an approximate knowledge
Yeah.
of many things.
Like that's how
Yeah.
I explain a lot of like my hobbies is like I
Mm.
just like a little bit of everything, and I'll deep dive into something for 3 months and then completely drop it, and then maybe like a year or two later, like yeah, I'll go back to it.
Mm.
Because like I'm using a lot of athletics, but that's kind of like I do really enjoy working out, but like swimming and stuff. Okay, I know how to swim. And then I went to go work at a swim store, and it's just a whole nother world of like, oh yeah, these are the actual, like, these are the up and coming athletes. This is their training. I'm like, okay, yeah, breaststroke and freestyle. And they're like breaking down freestyle into like, yeah, you have the catch and the release and like the rhythm of like how you swing. I'm just like, you lost me. I don't know I don't know what a catch is.
Mm. It's like hyper specific knowledge for like those kind of like when it becomes a sport or when it becomes a specialized thing.
Yeah, when it's like when it actually becomes their entire like hobby, that's when it's a big deal.
And that's a good segue. I'm so good. To when it, so a lot of this stuff ends up being like hobby related, like fandoms and all that. Because I know most of the time it's the more we talk about it, I think it's just more like fandoms. It's like, oh, you're not a true fan. That's always what it is. So with that, I know there's a gray area, and I'm just kind of curious what you guys think. When is it too passionate? When someone's super passionate about something, but when does it become too toxic? Like, someone could be super passionate about something, but then it ends up like just being super toxic to someone else. It's like, oh, now they just don't care for the medium, for instance.
Right.
Would you guys be able to draw?
It becomes more about them rather than the like thing itself. I think that's just like once you start being toxic about it is when you need to take a step back.
Yeah, like it's just when you're doing toxic things about it, like brushing people off or always interrupting or always trying to dominate the conversation about the thing, then I think it kind of goes overboard.
Okay.
Yeah, because the thing itself is not. I don't know. I feel like the thing itself is not more important than like
the enjoyment.
Yeah, than like the enjoyment of it and the being able to share it, or
I feel like
I don't know.
When you get to the point where you're talking to someone about your hobby or whatever, and you say, "Oh, that's not real X" or whatever, I think at that point, like you've already crossed the line because, like, technically it is, but it's also you think you understand everything about it, and you think you can dictate what it is when it's like that's not true.
Yeah, I think they kind of. Like, oh, sorry, go on.
It's like one of the easiest things I can point out to is like automatic versus manual driving. Like, if you drive an automatic, you're not driving. It's like, okay, you've gone off the deep end. And so that's toxic for me because it's like, yeah, you're just being elitist and obnoxious.
That's another level. Not even just automatic. That's like one part. It's even just like, oh, I like that car because it looks cool. But then if I can't talk, like, I'm not a huge like car head, right? Or whatever it's called. Fuck. Like, I don't like. I can say like, oh, that car looks
junkie.
Car junkie. Yeah, sure. I'm like, that car looks cool.
It's like, oh, but you have the 2016 Mustang. That's not a real Mustang. You need the 1970 or whatever. Yeah.
Or it's like you can't even talk about parts and you don't know much about cars. That's like another thing. It's like, oh, okay, you're not like a huge like auto fan. Like, that's when I remember, because one of my, like, in college, someone was like, hey, do you want to go to the auto show? I was like, or like the car show, for instance, or like I'm like, I mean, sure, if you want, I can say like these cars are cool, but I'm probably just gonna hang out. They're like, it's okay. I'm like, it's fine. So then they invite someone. I'm like, you should probably, like, they're like, oh, maybe. And then someone else is like super more passionate about it. And I was like, yeah, no, invite him. It's probably a better idea.
Yeah, I think it's like you're passionate about it, right? So it's something you care about. It should be something that brings you, like, it's like Marie Kondo. It should be something that brings you joy, that sparks joy in your life. And when it becomes something that you get, like, actually mad about, like viscerally angry over, or even like disapprove, or yeah, like because somebody doesn't like the same thing or isn't as deep, it becomes like something disapproving. I think that's kind of like when you're like, oh, all right, maybe chill out.
So, and that's a good point. That was what I was gonna kind of lead into, was more. I feel like, to me, passion can bleed into, like, it. We say at times we're like, oh, that's just judgment. I'm like, but I feel like with you being passionate about something, it can lead into like, oh, you kind of judge it, and then that could lead into like something more toxic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
at one, because it's like, oh,
Love and hate are the two sides of the same
oh
coin.
man, dude, for real. Like, man, I was trying to think of. Essentially, it's just It's always the weird part of like when someone's like super into music or something, but they're like, oh, I just don't like how they're just doing well. I'm like, so by being that you're okay with letting someone or something like you're supposedly passionate about, you want it to stagnate and just not get better. I feel like that's a lot of fandoms. It's like, oh, I wanted to just keep it niche, and it's just so. To me, that's just
It's like are you saying it's kind of like it almost becomes like a tribalism thing?
Yeah, it feels like, yes, that's the word. Yeah, or it's like very cliquey in a sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was fun. It's only because like I think we kind of touched it on it before, and I was like, well, like we're like, oh, it's just judgment. I'm like, wow, that's the gray area. I feel like it's kind of tied together. Like with passion becomes judgmental. Like you can become judgmental. Like for instance, like, oh, like we say like, oh, someone could like, I remember going to work and at times it's like, oh, do you play video games? I'm like, yeah, I play like all this stuff, and they're like, oh, do you play Call of Duty? I'm like, it like I subconsciously do that. I'm like, oh, you play Call of Duty? You're like one of those guys.
Right.
But it's only because I used to play Call of Duty a lot. I'm like, oh, now I've played other games. I'm the real gamer. Let's be real, not anymore. I don't have time.
Yeah, right.
But I've seen some people go like just do that to the extreme, and I feel like it's because I think, I don't know. I think it's just more like they're correlated. Like when someone's super passionate, the toxicity could go along the same way. That's
yeah. No, I think you're right. Like that's why it's probably good not to put all your eggs in one basket, because then you're not just one. You're not just this person who only knows or only cares about this one subject in its entirety and in its entire depth. And maybe somebody can be like that and be totally fine with it without becoming jaded and toxic or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's just bad. It just feels bad.
Am I wrong in saying like part of getting into a fandom and part of being a fan of something is being able to share it with someone?
100% no. That's not wrong at all.
Oh, well then. Shit.
Shit, I was ready for you to fight me. No, I think it's fine to be a fan of something. I think it's always weird when it's like, even going like, it's like, oh, Harrison goes to conventions, he's like the real fan. I'm like, no, stop. I just go for like the merch, please. Or like just,
yeah, it's something you and Luc both do. Is like, you want to go to this convention? Hit up the
art gallery,
buy some art,
the merch section.
The art
It's like,
gallery.
oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you go to
The art
conventions.
gallery,
That's
yeah.
so cool. Like, you must be the #1 fan. It's like, I don't even cosplay anymore. Like, what are you talking about?
yeah, I was gonna say I don't even cosplay. And then that's what, and then some people are like, this is like, my girlfriend used to joke around with me on this. She's like, "Well, you don't cosplay and you go to conventions and stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, I wear the shirt. That's the most I'll do. I'll wear a nice
Yeah.
comic shirt. I'll wear a hat, sure, and yeah, that's the most I would do."
I am cosplaying comic fan.
Oh my god.
Damn it, I hate it. But no, that was pretty much it. Just wanted to get your boys' views on gatekeeping, or just talk about it really, and maybe we can inform someone about it.
Gatekeeping bad.
Gatekeeping
Don't
bad.
gatekeep. Stop being elitist. Get some help.
Get some help.
Some help. Yeah.
That's
Be open and friendly.
Be a good fan.
Yeah.
get other people to like your shit. But then if they don't like your shit, then
Then that's cool too. You know what?
that's cool too. It's fine.
Having different opinions makes our world better.
That's stupid, Ian.
That's deep.
See? Right there. That was three different opinions.
I'm glad that worked out. But all right, I think that's it. Okay,
I'm still pinching myself with my clothespin.
that we just rounded it
Good.
out. Congrats,
Very good.
we've done it. This is the full circle.
It's come
Man.
full circle.
All right, but yeah, thanks for listening. On YouTube, if you got actually, yeah, if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, so you'll actually know when we upload. We're still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly. I don't know what day works really. We'll figure it out. But yeah, like just leave a comment, or you could even just tweet us at SuperBoss Pod. Just let us know how we're doing, or give us suggestions on topics. Other than that, and you can even email us at superbossfeedback@gmail.com, whichever works. But other than that, that should be it. Yeah, just let us know how we're doing. We love y'all.
Goodbye.
We really
Thanks
do.
for listening.
See ya.
Bye bye.